you're building a gym, and because there's a couple ways to look at this, and I think it's useful to kind of, look at it from both ends. You get 3 pieces of equipment that are for you and your personal use. And I'm not talking barbells. I'm not talking bumper plates. I'm talking pieces of equipment, pin or plate loaded machines, cable stacks, etc. You get 3 pieces that are for you, and you get 3 pieces that will drive membership. Because that's how it has. Because I go into gyms, I'm like, yeah, this is great. There's about 20 people in the city that are going to really respect what you've done here, and then you're going to be closed down in a year and a half. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, I see what you did, but I'm never going to train here. What is the Junta Fitness lineup of like, all right, let's keep the boss happy first. Your top 3 equipment of like, I'm going to get these pieces, pin or plate loaded machines, cams, cables, the 9. I'm going to get that for me and my use and what I like.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get 3 pieces for the general population to drive membership.
Oh man, that's tough. Are dumbbells on this list? Or are we assuming the gym has dumbbells?
Assuming they're there. Assuming they have barbells plated. We're talking strictly machine. Because these, not that dumbbells can't get expensive, but like, you have a budget, and we're allocating like, all right, Junta gets free reign on 3 pieces, but then we have this allocated for, you got to think about what people want to use, because you're not your customer, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Number 1 has to be a good free motion cable stack.
Now for you.
For me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I fuck with
that
it.
Is hands down the machine that I think it's the most versatile. I use the most. I use it the most for myself and for clients that I'm training. I think there's the most benefit in having that, and it is a widely utilized piece. So that's going to be number 1 machine for me. Fuck. Yeah, my mind just went blank. I'm like, what machines do I use? I think I have 2 more, but I want to make sure these are my 2 more. I think number 2 for me is going to be a pendulum squat. I really like a pendulum squat. I like it more than a hack squat. I like it more than a leg press. So I think that's one that, like, whenever I'm at a gym that has one, I take advantage of it. So that'd be one that I'd use very often. Fuck, man. I think number 3. I'm trying to challenge this to see if there's anything else, but nothing's coming to mind. I think number 3 is going to be like I think it's going to be a prime leg extension. I think that's my favorite leg extension. Just because I feel like most muscle groups, like I can get a pretty good training session without, specific machines. But a quad extension, I think, is one that, like, to really train your quads, like, there's not much besides a quad extension that's going to, like, get you that sensation, that's going to get you, like, it's helped me a lot with knee pain, like even hamstring stuff. Like I'll use hamstring curls, but I think like hinging and like hamstring bridges and things like that are pretty effective. So I think I'm going to go, those are my top 3 in that order is a free motion cable stack. Number 2, a pendulum, and then a prime quad extension.
Interesting. I never would have guessed any of those. The free motion I can get. I mean, I would maybe toss that into like the member one, but I'm curious if then, are those with those 3 in mind?
Yes.
Junta Fitness, what are you putting in for? Oh, okay, memberships. Like, oh, they have that. That's great.
Man, I hate that it's going to go here, and these are not pieces of equipment that I would ever put in
right.
But
yeah, you don't want people there.
It's all going to be booty equipment, like
all of it. Okay,
maybe all of it. Let's see. I'm gonna have some sort of like hip thrust machine. Girls nut over those things. It's gonna be a fucking. I think it's gonna be an abduction machine, which I use an abduction and an adduction machine quite often. I think they're useful pieces of equipment to have. But like, if I were on my short list, like cable stack, you can utilize it the similar way. And then number 3, I think I'll say a leg press. I think a leg press is a pretty. I don't have a specific brand. I know there's ones that I like. God, there's that one at MI40. It's like the hip drive. I think that's a really smooth leg press.
Oh, the side backs, the
The
squat
side
press.
squat
Yeah,
press. That's
with
it.
the
That's
pivot on the foot plate. Yeah, side back
yeah.
squat press. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's one of probably my favorite ones that I've used. So I'll
Mm.
say those are going to be my three to drive membership.
Okay, so that's a squat press, a abduction or adduction, maybe even a combo piece, and some hip thrust machine.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting. So Junta Fitness, first six in the door for you are free motion, quad
Yep.
extension, and a pendulum,
Yep.
and then hip thrust, abduction, adduction, and a what was the last one?
The squat press.
The
Side
squat
back.
press. Okay, interesting. Huh.
It's you can only train lower at my gym apparently.
Apparently, this shows your prior. I think that'll reflect a big difference in our training styles right now. If I'm going in, I think a good unilateral leg press, something where the top plate, like for me personally, I think I really enjoy a unilateral leg press, plate loaded, pin load. I haven't come across a pin loaded one that allows the actual foot plate to separate
Mm,
that that can load heavy enough. Frankly, like Panada makes one. Then if using a hammer strength or one of the classic pin loaded just
mm,
doesn't get the right position. Like I like an open. I guess I would almost call it like an open chain where the foot is the thing that moves
hmm.
rather like Kaiser air squat has a cool one. Like Kaiser air or
Oh yeah,
Kaiser
yeah.
has a leg press that moves unilateral. So unilaterally controlled with the option to like close it into bilateral plate loaded leg press, I think would be one for me. Um, ooh, this is for someone who posed the question.
Yeah.
I'm having a tough time.
It's a
I think a
really
machine. I think
originally.
a machine chest press
Mhm.
prime
Yeah.
horizontal machine chest press. So what I like about that, it converges and diverges well. It has a thicker handle like the old Nautilus Explode plate loaded series. It's heavy enough for me at the moment, probably for the distant future, for being a pin loaded machine. It you can vary the cam and the strength curve, resistance profile, all that, which has its benefits in the right time and setting. Um, but it doesn't succumb to because if you guys are familiar with like the Nitro series Nautilus press, the only way that you adjust the depth is you adjust the chair position. It's like you're not just adjusting the depth; you're changing the angle of your arm path as you because the arms themselves don't actually move. So I think the single leg press, prime horizontal, and I'm going to go hack squat.
Okay.
I think for the reason being is like for squatting patterns, assuming that there's a barbell involved for adductors and glutes, I'm fine putting a bar on my back. I've dents in the fender and I don't tend to squat often for obvious reasons. But if push came to shove and I was like, okay, I really want to do a focus on lower body strength and power or build the strength or whatever, glutes or adductors, I don't mind putting a bar on my back. I mind putting a bar on my throat. I'm going to say it right here. I'm 35 years old. I've probably done my last front squat. I probably have. I don't know if I will perform a front squat again with the state of my ankles and the knees and just the general discomfort and going like, okay, I am not actually able to push from a hypertrophy stimulus effort proximity to failure perspective. Like when I finish a set of front squats, if you hooked my quads up to a car battery, there's still something there. Those are still going to turn over, right? So one, I'm from a cardiovascular standpoint pretty out of shape. So I'm not converting oxygen into the whole cellular respiration process as efficient as one should be. And you add to the fact that I have a bar on my trachea, and then I'm trying to stay upright with the thing that wants to roll off my collarbones. And so I have to like jam this bar into my throat. I'm like, I'm really, I'm stifling my output in pursuit of technical proficiency of this movement. And a front squat, like I cue a front squat almost in like a front rack position. Like I grab under the little shoulder pads. I'm externally rotating and protracting my scaps. I'm trying to keep a relatively stacked position, but not too stacked. I think that's a mistake that people make in the hack squat is they try and go flat back, full posterior tilt. And it's like you want to isolate your quads, go on Jay's quad extension at Junta Fitness. But if you want to like integrate and load the quads, the neutral lumbar spine is a strong structural artifact, right? Like the neutral spine is a curved, slightly extended lordotic curve for a reason. It gives you stability in extension, like a bridge, right? If we think of an arc being a strong shape that they use for bridges, you don't want to negate that, right? Like your lumbar spine can handle a bit of load, especially on this predictable track of a hack squat. So I really like, because for me, it's almost like this buffer of function. Like if I can get myself to a position where my hack squats are pain free and I hack squat often, I can actually keep myself in a position to hack squat pain free just by hack squatting, right? I can integrate all of those attributes. But if I like am away from a hack squat for a bit, fuck the effort it takes me to get back to having my knees function to a point where they can tolerate the hack squat and repeated bouts, in the course of a week or 10 days, getting multiple sessions in on it. So for me, it's like the overload in that lengthened position at the bottom position of the hack squat is very telling of sort of the overall state of my, lumbopelvis down into my hip and even my foot and ankle. So, it takes a lot for me to get hack squat ready from like a movement quality standpoint. But if I can get there and I can stay there and I have access to it and I can load it, it really helps me keep my knees nice and happy while getting output in my quads in a way that's not stifled by a barbell choking me out or just my thoracic spine having to stay upright. So that would be thing number three. We did three. These are my pieces. So the horizontal chest press. What was the single leg press?
No, single leg press.
Single leg press and the hack squat. All right, so I got like one upper body in there, and then if I had to go members, a Smith machine. I think the Smith machine would have to be on there. I think, it has versatility and allows you to set up a hip thrust on it. It's going to be something that a bodybuilder like person can get creative with. Like those are going to be the people. Like I'm looking this through the lens of like, okay, who are the types of people that machines are make or break for? Right? Like, Sally What's Her Bucket walks in and goes, yeah, it looks like a gym. I'm going to pay for it and never show up. So here's my money and great. But, I think of like who is kind of snobbish with needing certain kit. People who use the word kit are snobbish about, using, and so I think they'll see the versatility of like, well, all right, they got a good Smith machine. I can do hip thrust there. I can set up my high incline presses, my overhead presses, my deficit rows, all that. So I think that would be one where that's going to put some asses in the seats in a way, or appeal to an audience that will be like, oh, you don't have a Smith machine? Okay, that's a strike against it. So that I think that's number one for me. Assisted pull up and dip station. I think I could just as easily have put an assisted pull up and dip station in my preference. Like I think those are great tools. I love being able to, especially with my shoulders and dips, like I love being able to ease myself into body weight dips and loading dips through underloading, but maintaining good positions. Pull ups the same. I think like, my shoulders are angry, or my pec or my delt or my AC joint or whatever. I think like, all right, I could do a bunch of correctives, but if I want a lot of external rotation, pull-up's going to do it in a way where I'm not going like not to 260 with, if I go from like, oh, my shoulder hurts to jumping up on pull-up bars, it's like, well, that's a leap of faith, my friend. Like you're taking a shoulder that you're uncertain of and you're putting, to whatever, 260 pounds, whatever I weigh now, and dangling it off that shoulder. It's like, you want to dip your toe in the water. I think that that the assisted pull up and dip station is super useful because they're movements that the complexity, and like I think the word complexity is right here, and I'm really trying to subtly push back on people who don't respect the complexity of exercise. right? Like I watch coaches with bad technique lift, and then disavow technique as something, and then you just look at their physiques, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like you're making a meme of yourself, right? Like you're clearly technique clearly matters to a certain degree, at least more than you make it off to because look at your physique, right? Like you're trying to what is your coaching business? Like come be mediocre with me. It's like, apply and link in bio to be as mediocre as I am. Like, sorry, dude. Like if I, everyone kind of knows what looks good and what doesn't. And usually what looks good usually feels good at scale. Right? If I can get a client where I go like, okay, that dip's starting to look pretty good. Hey, how's that feel? Yeah, it feels great. No pain at all. It's like, okay, great. Because pain has this, this what's the right word? Like ataxia. Is ataxia the right word? Where you're moving around pain?
Yeah, I mean,
Antalgic, not ataxic. The
yeah,
antalgic would be a better word. Ataxic is a little bit more like you have fucking some sort of copper deficiency or something like that.
yeah,
But no, antal. So they're moving around the perception of pain, and their dips look all squirmy, and their pull ups are janky, and there's just a subjective poor quality to their execution. And I think I'm in part in agreement to some of the isolated warm ups and range of motion exercises can at a certain point with certain people be nullified more or less, right? But it's like you can't go from for someone who's weaker than the forces of gravity acting on their body. You can't go from zero to their body weight, especially if they're super weak. So what do? It's like, well, let's make gravity less of the enemy, and let's use these. Like I think those are the single best mobility tools in the gym would be an adjustable bench and assisted pull up and dip machine. So I think from a member perspective, I'm at Smith machine, assisted pull up and dip. And I'm trying to think lastly, like what would be something that people like the glute is hard to get away from, like just from a sheer Stairmaster.